So as law enforcement and firefighters have their big challenges in LA, here in Washington, FEMA is coming under scrutiny. The congresswoman who represents Altadena, where Brian was just reporting from, telling me earlier this week that many of her constituents' claims aren't being processed. And on the other side of the country, the congressman who represents battered Asheville, North Carolina, going much further than that.
There's nothing worse after your life has been devastated, you're not at your home, you're trying to recover, and then you get a non-approval message in error. That's not right.
That is an organization that clearly needs to be overhauled, and I'm anxious to be a part of that after January 20th. We need a new director, a new administrator, and we've got to change the culture of FEMA. There's too much government bureaucracy.
Joining me now is the former FEMA Director Michael Brown. He led the agency for 2.5 years, faced his own questions for how Hurricane Katrina was handled. Michael, thanks for being with us tonight here on the Hill. You know what it's like, sir, to face criticism. It is a very tough job, and you dealt with it 20 years ago in a much different circumstance. But here we are 20 years later, and we're still hearing a lot of these stories. Why?
I told you so, and I'm going to tell you again. It's amazing to me that when we created the Department of Homeland Security in 2003, I sent a memo to the White House and also to Secretary Ridge at the time that said folding FEMA into DHS and doing it the way they're doing it is going to cause, and at the time I was referencing Hurricane Andrew, which really pretty much destroyed the George H.W. Bush administration.
Yeah, I lived through it.
And I said, we're going to face that same kind of thing again. And so FEMA has been subsumed by this huge bureaucracy. So I'm not trying to defend the FEMA administrator, but I can tell you that what's going on is she's fighting a bureaucracy around her that just does not give her the resources or the flexibility to do what you need to do.
So, Michael, let me ask you, because Jared Moskowitz, a congressman from the South Florida area, was the first Democrat to say, you know what, I want to be a part of the Doge caucus. And one of his recommendations is exactly what you just laid out, which is that FEMA should be pulled away from the Department of Homeland Security and report, he says, he believes, directly to the White House. Is this a Doge undertaking, potentially, as you see it?
It's not a Doge undertaking, it's a congressional undertaking. Look, under the original Stafford Act, when I was the undersecretary and the director, originally I reported directly to the president, so that when something was going on that I needed help with, or I needed the bureaucracy cut through or whatever, if I needed DOD to do something, I could reach out directly to the Secretary of Defense. I could reach out directly to the president, and did on many occasions. But then after 2003, 2005, you get subsumed into DHS, and now you have a bureaucracy on top of a bureaucracy. There's a great Cato study out from, maybe a decade ago, about all of these things that I was saying back in 2003, Cato now reports, and now I'm very glad to hear that some congressmen are beginning to think, yeah, maybe this was a mistake. The smartest thing they could do is to pull FEMA out, give it back its independent agency status, and give the director direct access to the president. If you don't have direct access to the president like I had, it's not going to work.
Michael Brown was the former head of FEMA. Fascinating to hear your perspective, sir. Thanks for being with us tonight here on the Hill. Appreciate it. You got it. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.